Look at the teeth, man. I know y'all like these pearly whites. When we talk about knowledge, knowledge is one of those things that I feel like to a degree is becoming a bit of a rare sighting. I think we get a lot more into this idea of convenience rather than critically thinking. And what this means is that people are a lot more willing to just take hearsay and the first source that they possibly run into as fact without doing any due diligence, without any desire to go and find answers for themselves. But there are people that do that, that will actually critically think and will actually go and try and find problems, or not find problems, but find answers to apparent problems or apparent issues, whatever that may be. And that's good. That's very good. But I feel like in that pursuit of learning and pursuit of being more knowledgeable, what some people also end up doing is they gather all this information but then aren't able to apply it. They aren't able to internalize it. They aren't able to actually reflect on the knowledge that they have come across. And it comes down to being able to translate the knowledge you've acquired into practical, applicable wisdom. And I feel like that is something that a lot of people don't do. Is they do specifically just focus on acquiring the information and acquiring that information with the sole focus of kind of like an ego thing, where I want to show that I'm better than you. So when this conversation comes up about this topic, or this conversation comes up about this topic, I'm able to school you. And I'm not really worried about how the message actually gets passed down to you. I just want you to know that I know something and you don't. You see this a lot in political discourse. You see this a lot in religious discourse. And it's unfortunate. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I went to a Friday service. I'm Muslim. For people that don't know, I'm Muslim. So our Friday service is called Jummah. And so I went to Jummah, and the khatib, which is the speaker, he gave an analogy. And the analogy he gave was that a donkey can carry many books. And then he left that kind of just as is. So now you have to sit there and you have to reflect on what does he mean by that. So he said that, talked about something else, but then came back to it. And he said, I'm paraphrasing what he's saying, but essentially the point is that a donkey can carry all these books. You can have all this access to information. You can have all the books possibly downloaded on Audible. You can have this huge collection, but if you're not able to internalize it, to to let it sit, to let it digest, then this knowledge is for nothing. And he tied this back to religion, because this isn't a burp. This isn't like a religious video where I'm gonna start getting into some religious spew. That's not how I do my form of dawah. It's not how I do. That's not how I do things. But he tied it back to the Quran, and he tied it back to the Quran by saying that Islam, and this is true. You can actually just go pick up any religious scripture. This point will stand. Islam is in the Quran, is the only text on this planet that truly encourages people to not just seek the truth, but to also reflect on the lessons that are within the scripture. And we see this in some of the pondering, I guess, rhetorical-ish kind of questions that Allah poses to the reader in the Quran. And I think this is so important. And he brought this point up because he was saying that people will memorize the Quran, mashallah. They will read the Arabic fluently, but they can't internalize the message. So how are you ever going to expect true faith and true love of the faith to develop if they don't even know what they're reading? They don't even know what they're reciting. So knowledge is one thing, the memorization is one thing, but they don't even know what the message is truly about, so they can't really internalize it. And this isn't just a religious specific thing, this is a knowledge specific thing, where people will hear something that this person or this person that potentially is accredited or not will say, and they will take this and they will just run with it. See that a lot in religious discourse, where people will watch a lot of religious debates and they'll take the word of these people of whatever they may say, now go out and immediately start using that as their form of preaching and get shot down immediately when they run into someone that actually knows what they're talking about. And honestly, it gets to a point where you kind of just have to laugh at them because you're just like, what the hell made you think that was a good idea? You watched a couple of debate videos and now you think you're an expert on the topic, especially for something as religion. Are you kidding me? So you just gotta and you just gotta move on. But like I said, this isn't just religious. This is also in the political sphere. This is in any sort of intellectual field where people will just parrot what they hear. And I feel like the main culprit behind this is that people don't want to have uncomfortable conversations with themselves. I had a conversation about this with my boy today as I'm recording this. But one thing that we talked about was he was saying that it blows my mind how people don't have this desire to know. They don't have this desire to ask questions, to be curious, to be able to get answers for things. And I told him, I said the main reason is people just don't care. My therapist gave me a really good analogy when it comes to self-perception. But I feel like this analogy can also be applicable in a lot of instances, but especially in this case. The analogy is that a painter paints a painting. Tongue twister. Painter paints a painting. Puts that painting up in a museum. People will walk by, glance at this painting for maybe 2 seconds, 2 minutes, basically not a lot of time. They will apply their own interpretation of this painting because art is subjective or whatever, and they'll move on. They don't really truly care about the painter's intention. And a lot of this is just due to the fact that they don't care. They don't care, they don't have time, whatever, there's so many different reasons. But the point is that people will formulate their opinions and their judgments that fit them. And I responded to her and I said that, well, if it's me and I really wanted to know that bad, I just asked the painter. And I feel like that's such a common sense thing to do. Like, you want to know what the painting's about, go ask the painter. But they're like, but then she said, but they don't want to. And there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do, chase them down? No, what you going to get out of that, bro? Not a goddamn thing. So this can also be applied in other facets of your life, not just your self-image. Because if you couldn't tell by that analogy, the point is that people are going to have opinions about you. You can't control it. You have to live with it. Live with it, sit with it, digest it. Because at the end of the day, when you digest something, you got to shit it out anyways. AKA, life just goes on. You can apply this to other domains. And in this specific instance of curiosity and knowledge, people want to just stay within their specific lens. People are not open to having this potential that their entire worldview can shed in front of them. Everything that they've ever believed is misinformed and a lie. This is a possibility. This is the reality for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to accept that reality, that they live in a delusional world. Like, bro, we still got people that make 30K a year thinking that they got more in common with a billionaire than their coworker. Like, that's delusion. That's fucking delusion. So it comes down to people don't want to have that conversation. They want to stay in those same friend circles, stay in that same city or town, stay in those in the same whatever it may be. Because they don't think there's any benefit in exploring. When in reality, that's where the rest of the world lies, is in that exploration. And I see where my boy is coming from, that yeah, it definitely is it's a strange concept. And for people like me and him, it's a pretty dumb way to live life. Like I think objectively speaking, that's a dumb way to live life. If you only want to live life based off of your own interpretation and a refusal to see other perspectives, that's a dumb way to live life. It's a horrible way to live life. But we can't control people that want to live that way. We can't go out and change their minds because they're just going to continue to do what they want to do. So the real question comes down to how, when we acquire this knowledge, how do we turn this into something where we can now extract, internalize, and digest this knowledge? And I'd say as a Muslim, we're given that answer. And I'd make the argument that the answer that we're given as Muslims is that when it comes to internalizing knowledge, when it comes to seeking the truth and seeking out to learn something, it's impossible to be all-knowing. It is impossible. The only one that's all-knowing is God. The way, in my opinion, and this is not scholarly backed, but in my opinion, one of the ways that I feel like we can reach that point of where we're internalizing this knowledge to where now it becomes wisdom is by examples of the people before us. Stories of prophets, stories of certain events. We can look at these situations and we can, oh my God, where did that come from? We can look at these stories and events. And the reason why we can look at these is because we were told these stories for a reason. We were told these anecdotes about the lives of these individuals, whether it be prophets or just people that were highly revered. Because not everyone in the Quran is a prophet, that's mentioned. We're given these anecdotes, these tidbits about their lives for a reason. And I feel like, and this is again just me, one of the reasons why we're given these anecdotes, these tidbits, is so that we can relate it back to our situation, our lives. And look at how they did things. And see if is our approach in line with the people that have the cosign of God himself. Because I feel like in that case, I'd say we're on a pretty good track. And I feel like there's certain ways that we can kind of gauge this. And I think a great way to gauge it is how judgmental do you become as you gain this knowledge? Because it's someone that's truly on this pursuit of knowledge, someone that is truly going out for the simple sake of learning, they're never going to hold the fact that they know more than someone over their head. Because they understand that, I don't know everything. I know some things. So I can't be mad at this person if they don't know. Now, you can get upset when people continue to stay in their ignorance. That's another story. But if something as simple as, I don't know about this, how do you respond to that? Do you look at this as an exciting way that, oh my God, I can share something with someone? Or is it like, this dude's a fucking idiot. This dude's a dumbass. Man's is very stupid, innit? Sorry. Sorry. So I feel like a good way to gauge this is humility. Because, like I said, someone who's truly just going out, seeking knowledge for the sake of just understanding, isn't going to hold people to this unrealistic or just be judgmental, I guess. They're not going to be judgmental to people that don't know. They're going to want to teach. Because a Muslim knows that we don't know everything. So it's hard to have arrogance about anything when you truly know at the end of the day that you are not the all anything. You're not the all powerful, you're not the all knowing, you're not the all loving, you're the all nothing. You have a certain capability to a certain threshold that was predetermined. You can elasticize your threshold, sure. I agree with you there. But you're still never going to be all knowing. You're still never going to be all powerful. You're never, ever going to be one of these things. So when you know that there's always going to be a level that you just simply cannot reach because you are designed in a way to not reach it, it's hard to be arrogant about it, at least in my opinion. Because your state in life might be higher than this person right now, but they might have a higher threshold. So with the right pushes, they can get way ahead of you. You never know how that works. But to the ones that go out and seek knowledge, ask yourself, when I go out and learn these things, how do I apply it? How do I use this in a manner that will be beneficial to not just myself, but also to my development? Can I teach it to other people? How is my perception on the world changing? How is my perception on people changing? Am I becoming more arrogant, or am I becoming more understanding, more patient? These are questions you can ask yourself in this pursuit of knowledge. But never stop being curious, ever. Don't just follow your forefathers. Don't just be a parrot. Ask questions, seek knowledge, continue to be curious till the day you die. All my socials are in the description. They're in my link tree, my Instagram, my TikTok, all these other social medias. Feel free to check it out. Until then, I'll see y'all in the next video.